Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Michelle and today I'm going to show you how I used one of Marlene's older stencils and make a lace cut page. So this stencil is from her Artsy Arabia range, and although it's older, it's new to me. And so I decided when I saw it, I actually thought this would be perfect for a lace cut page. You know, that's my favorite thing to do. I really love the way that lace cuts adds just a little bit of interest and texture and kind of a bit of a surprise to my pages. So I've got, I think this is called Heaven, and I'm just stenciling 3 patches over this mask. I did think that I was going to cut all of them, but in the end I only cut the top and the bottom corner ones, and I left the middle one solid, and I just added some color to that. Okay, so once I've got that the color down, I'm just going to give it a quick dry to make sure it's nice and dry for when I start cutting. If it's not dry, the page will tear instead of having a nice clean cut. And before I start, I'm going to just add a border because obviously I don't want the cuts to go right to the edges, because that will just make my page weak. So to make sure that that doesn't happen, I've got a little border there. Okay, to do lace cut pages, I always say make sure that your blade is new and sharp. I like these cutting knives that have like a snap off blade. So before every cut or before every page, I just snap off one of the blades. And you can see I'm turning my page that saves my wrist, and I feel like it's a little bit safer. I'm not going to slip and make a mistake and cut into my finger that way. So top tips for lace cuts is sharp blade and take your time. It's quite a meditative, I don't know how you say it, process, quite mindful. It's something that I really enjoy doing when I've got a little bit of time to spare, if I want to just relax my mind and work out some feelings, which, by the way, I was doing on this day. I received a bit of I guess it's not a nasty message, but it did upset me anyway. So I just had to process those feelings about my art. And the way I do that is through my journals and getting mindful and just working out the feelings with color and texture and paint and all sorts. So I grabbed out some of Marlene's mandalas because I thought that I would put those in the centers of my cut mandalas. And I will still get to that later. But first off, I'm going to cover the whole page with color, of course. So I've gone in with a little bit of a brighter or darker blue. This one I think is Sky. So I went in first with my stencil, of course, or mask. And then just to blend out the edges, I'm mixing some water into my paint, and I'm just blending that out. I'm sorry if my voice sounds off or if I sound out of breath. I've actually got the flu. I've got quite a sore throat. But by the time this video goes up, that will all be a thing of a past. So normally I record my videos a couple of weeks in advance. I like having a stash of them scheduled to go live, just in case something happens, like I get sick or whatever and I can't get to my channel, then at least I know that things will still go on for you guys to watch and I'm not going to lose that momentum. Okay, once I've got the mandalas down, this yellow one are actually two halves that I found in Marlene's book, and I've just glued them together to make a whole one. And I'm just going to go in and add color and pattern to that mandala shape. So really simple and easy. I'm covering all of the white bits first. And I am using contrasting colors. So I've got the blue there, so I wanted to use the warmer colors, so the orange, yellow, pink. I do go in with red and green at some stage, but I actually didn't like the way that the red and the green looks. I think I left it in at the end, but that wasn't my favorite part. I do struggle with red and green. I think that they're just quite strong colors, and also when they are together, they kind of feel a little bit Christmassy to me. And although I don't mind Christmas. Well, I'm not a very Christmassy person, and I don't really do Christmassy themed work on my pages. Okay, once I've got the outlines done, I'm going in and adding some extra patterns. So I did the red, and then inside the red, eventually, I'm going to add some more color. Then on the pointy bits here, or inside the pointy bits, I'm just making a little half moon, half circle. Actually, I guess it's more of a quarter circle shape. And each of these colors that I'm putting down, I'm going to just treat as another surface for me to add more pattern onto. I'm adding tiny hearts into the triangle bits. I love adding a little tiny heart. They make me really happy. And now I'm adding some more pattern over the top of those scallopy bits. So really making these mandalas are really so simple. You can see, other than the stencil, I'm not measuring anything out. I don't want things to be precise and symmetrical and perfect, because one of the reasons is if everything is perfect and you make one tiny mistake, that tiny mistake is going to be really, really obvious. And obviously I want to avoid that. And I also really just like the quirky nature of making things wonky and wobbly. So I added some black dots to the tips of that starry pattern. And then I think I had Marlene's lanterns stamp set in mind when I did this. So, or maybe like a banner, or I don't know, something else was in my mind when I did this. And I just connected those dots with like a little string that goes from one to the other. And I really like the way that turned out. It does make me feel like, it reminds me of like a string of lights or a string of lanterns. Very cute. Okay, now I'm going to start going in with a little bit of white and black details. And I'm really just faffing and faffing. And this is, and I always say this is the kind of thing that I could do for ages and ages, and just keep adding and adding and adding until, there really isn't more space to add anything. I really didn't like the orange on the video it actually looked fine, but I felt like the orange was a little bit bare maybe. So I just went over the top of it with a pink line, and I really like the way that turned out. It's not blended, but it does look blended. The colors just work really well together. Then I went in and made some white dots on the tips of the florally bits, And I thought that I would turn them into teardrops, but I couldn't really figure out how to do that. So they are just normal dots. And you can see how this pattern just comes alive when I add extra dots and extra line work. Moving on to the top one, and I'm again just using contrasting colors just to make it feel a little bit more complete. I'm also adding some color into the mandalas that I stuck on there from Arlene, just to make them blend in a little bit better. So initially I wanted to do just a solid black border around my page, with maybe some white stripes or dots or something. But then I thought I'm going to just go in with black and white stripes. So in some parts I stenciled over the border because I obviously didn't have the border there from the beginning. And so I'm filling in the gaps where I didn't stencil over the border, if that makes sense. So the border is broken up by some of the stencily bits, and then I've got the black and white lines there. And I thought that worked really cute. I'm taking the new texture stamps, grungy textures, I think it's called, from Arlene. And I'm just going to I added some blue, and now I'm adding some black text stamp. I really love a scripty text. I think that looks really cute. And then just to add a tiny bit more detail, I am going to mix some of the sky paint with my favorite one, which is punk. And I'm just going to make some mark makings using my paintbrush. But before I do that, I'm doing a doodly border all around my already existing border. And that just makes it feel a little bit more quirky and fun and finished off. And you know, there's just a little bit more faffing going on, just filling up some of the white gaps, making sure that I'm happy with my little mandalas, and I am. And then I'll go in with the mark makings, I think. Oh, maybe I didn't do that. Anyway, the quote is, creativity is not a competition, up at the top there. Because over this past weekend when I got that message, which to me felt not nice, I thought that I would just make myself a little reminder that creativity isn't a competition. And the bottom one says, I am an artist. And after that message, I kind of questioned myself a bit. But this is just a reminder to myself that actually I am an artist and I'm not in competition with anybody. So there you go. Oh, there we go. I did go in with mark making after all. I'm just going to finish off with some of my favorite, I just dip my paintbrush into the paint and dab it onto the page. And that's it for today's page. Thank you so much for watching my videos. Thank you for being here. Thank you for leaving your comments. If you have not done so yet, please remember to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you get notified whenever I upload another video. Thank you for being here, and I will chat to you again soon. Bye.